maybe we can move along a little faster. Ruth O'Dell, Cindy Phillips, and Angela Holmes. If you would state your name and identify the organization you may be with. Ms. O'Dell.
I am Ruth O'Dell, and I'm superintendent of the Franklin County School System. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you this morning for just a minute. I'm good at talking fast. I'm here with a group of educators. I hope you'll get a chance perhaps to meet them. Our middle school principal, assistant principal, and instructional coach, my assistant superintendent here in Franklin County. So just to let you hear from the trenches, just one example of what we feel as we read this bill. We obviously have serious concerns. We do. I spoke to you last year about how I felt about the Common Core standards and my belief that they are the best way to go for us. So we do have serious concerns with adding another very prescriptive whole level review and an approval process when we feel like we already have that process in place with the state board. But if it is inevitable that we need to do this in order to calm the waters and so we can get back to educating the boys and girls of the community, then so be it. But the education of our students, I think we all believe, is crucial to economic prosperity of the state and the nation. But we would like to propose 2 amendments. And we've given those to Senator Wilkinson. First of all, on line 7076, an amendment be made to add at least 3 K-12 educators to the advisory council. I understand that they're on the subcommittees to be the worker bees and that kind of thing, but I think it's important that you include their viewpoint, their voice at the table of any recommendations that are made. That's line 7076. Okay?
About 15 seconds.
All right, and then we would also have an amendment to squeeze and compact the review process. This doesn't need to take as much time as outlined for it. Those things are very important so that you know, the public school people know that they're at the table in this process. They're not at the whim of whatever may come this way or that way, and that we have a reasonable review process.
I'd just like to talk to you a moment about what happens to teachers every time we change course and instruction. So if we change course with the new standards and do something totally different that this new layer of bureaucracy is going to add, then we have to retrain our teachers. We have to go back and unpack the standards so that they understand the skills and knowledge embedded within those standards and how to teach them. They also are going to have time to learn the new standards to get ready to teach them. So if we're taking 160 or 170 days to review content standards to be implemented the next year, that literally leaves us no time for teachers to get ready to teach. They need to prepare their curriculum materials. They need to get instructional strategies in place to teach the standards. It's not as simple as handing them a document that lists a bunch of standards and say, go and teach. They need time to learn what those standards are asking the kids to know, understand, and be able to do, and time to develop new instructional materials and assessments in order to get those things ready for the school year. It's vital that we have the time to cut professional learning. We're on a 160-day school year in Franklin County. We don't have any time to waste. And if it has to lay on the table with the DOE for 90 days and then do some more stuff with this advisory council, we're pretty much looking at starting off the school year behind the 8 ball.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips.
Thank you. Yes. Yes.
I believe, though, if you read the bill properly, that this advisory committee, all we do is make recommendations. At the end of the day, it's still the state school board that's going to make any changes, any standards. So I don't think there'll be that disruption from what they're doing, just so I'll know. It's still the state school board that makes a decision at the end of the day.
The one issue with that, Senator Millar, is that they are, the people on that committee don't understand content standards. Nobody on the advisory committee has any experience with content standards. if you're talking about parents and grandparents, people in higher ed don't have standards that they need to follow when they teach math or English or social studies in a college. And so we're asking people who really don't have the experience to know what the standards are representing to make decisions and collect information about it.
Well, Senator Millar, too, we just really want to be at the table. And I think you hear that over and over again from us. No, we can't run the world. It is y'all's job. But we do want to feel like we have a voice where the decisions are being made. Not little worker bees who give you advice, but people who have a chance to make decisions too. Thank you, Fran.
Senator Miller. Senator Jones.
Yes, and I agree that the ones who are providing the education do need to have a seat at the table. You mentioned that there were a lot of people with you. Can we ask them to stand so we can see who
Yes,
this
that is the people from our school system. Please stand. It's our assistant principal, C.J. Wilder, our principal, Lucy Floyd, and an instructional coach who works with teachers every day trying to help them learn these standards, Tracy Hendricks.
And your amendment would include high school teachers?
Teachers, K-12 teachers, 3 of
Is
them,
that
and that is advisory committee. No, the advisory council does not include educators. It's only when you get to the subcommittees.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna be a school teacher now. We're gonna call time because we gotta roll this train. Ms. Palm, and the next speaker is gonna be, John Zoner and Lou Hurst. Ms. Palm.
Good afternoon. I appreciate all the work that all of you have put into this topic. I know how we teach our children, what our teachers told them is near and dear to all of us. My concern mostly lies with the second part of the bill and the student privacy issue. There are a lot of issues, and a lot of them are just emerging. And my concern is that when we put this depth of detail into state law, that we're going to end up with some unintended consequences with one thing impacting another that we didn't realize would happen as we move it through this expedited session. And then when it says it's a state law, we have to wait and come back here. At the national level, there are a group of attorneys associated with the school boards associations who are looking at these issues and trying to figure out what the questions are. And technology is an emerging area, obviously, and it keeps changing, and so as it changes, that's going to change what sorts of things, what storage devices, the ways we store information, how we get it, are all going to keep changing. And so I have a deep concern about placing this into legislation rather than making it clear what you want the state board regulations to require and how you, what level of detail you want, and leave the rest of it to the state board.
Thank you. John?
Hi, Mr. Chairman, and my comments will be brief because I'm a very good student. Just a quick little comment. As I've said, this is a very prescriptive process that you've laid out here, and I think it's a little bit more bureaucratic than it needs to be. Opinion from a bureaucrat. Also, I used to, in another life, I had the opportunity to get very close to some very high-powered Republicans in the country. Not that they thought much of me, because I was in the business of guarding them at the federal level. But I used to hear Ronald Reagan say many times, as you've heard, government needs to be limited. And this seems to expand the overreaching, in my opinion, to some processes that should be left up to the Department of Education and what they do on a daily basis. So that's my comment. And I guess my final comment is you have in the bill on line 64 a biennial basis that there'll be a review of the content standards every 2 years. And I put out a comment, really? Every 2 years? That seems to be And that's on line 64 through 67. That seems to be a little bit restrictive, but that's,
Still make it 5 years. We still make it 5 years.
hallelujah.
It's already 5. It's
Okay.
5 years.
Okay, well, that's, I must have the wrong bill.
Mr. Chairman, if I may clarify, you said the committee serves for a term of 2 years, but the review is once every 5 years. We're actually expanding the time. Right now in law, it's 4 years. So it's actually delaying.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Hurst, and the next speaker we're gonna have after that is Chuck Clay and Joel Foster and Tony Dick.
Thank you, Senator. A couple things came up in the state board meeting today. One is the consideration, correct, Senator, I hadn't had a chance to mention this, that we changed the 90 days to 30 for the first period, and then the 60 days added on, so it's still 90. Some states are concerned about the extra time required, so whether or not that works with this greater scheme, it brings it to 90 days instead of 120. So. The second thought that came up was the education record, to add a definition of education record. And I've got some numbers I can show with Betsy at line 291, because that kind of ties together a few of these other pieces. Two other issues very quickly. Since the Senate voted to privatize the foster care at line 532, we fixed it by adding sharing rates with other agencies within government, but there's no provision here for sharing with private. So there's a lot of places where that might be relevant now. And then the last one, 579, to add unless required by court order, so that, as written now, we couldn't share information with the DA to convict the ABS chief.